Hey everyone, my name is Trip Barnett, and today I'd like to give you a little insight on what it would look like to adopt a child or be in the foster care program. And I'd just like to start off by saying that really nothing is appealing about it. I know that's not a good way to persuade, but it takes a lot out of you. It's a long process, and I mean it is adding another body to your home, but and just the blessing that you receive of making a difference in a child's life is astronomical, and you can't put a value on that. So I have three main points that I'm going to talk about, and first one, statistics. The second one is the importance of it, and the third one is just like a personal side that I have of people that I know that have adopted. So the statistics are that globally there are children everywhere that are ready to be adopted right now, and in the U.S. alone, there's 397,000 children that are without a permanent family, which means that they kind of just jump around from foster care homes, and they could be in that home for a month or years, but ultimately they never have a permanent family. And then there's 100,000 children eligible for adoption right now, but nearly 32% of the kids will it'll be over 3 years before they even get looked at for adoption. So, and around the world, there's 153 million orphans, and that have lost one parent. So, globally, and then there's 17.9 million orphans that have lost both parents. So, and then what you need to know is why this is important, though, and the reason it's kind of like a belief thing, but the reason I think it's important to adopt is because just really because of my faith, and our Heavenly Father adopted us, and you may have your biological parents, and but you really don't, you really just don't have a true father that you're gonna be able to rely on for everything. And until he came into my life, I was an orphan too. I consider myself an orphan, and in the Bible it says that we're adopted by God, and we become children of God. So and my logic behind that is, if God's adopted us and He's made the most astronomical change in our lives, then why shouldn't we take that on as a responsibility to adopt a child and make that difference in their lives? Because just by adopting or foster caring that child, just the odds of that child growing up just with a different life outcome are so great that just like I said, you can't put a price on that. So I'd like to share a few stories of people that I know that are really close to me that will share with you the joy of adoption. And the first couple are Jay and Jennifer Atkins. They have 6 kids. 3 are their blood and 3 are adopted. And like I said, they said that even though adoption is a long process and it gets pricey, that they wouldn't trade it for anything. And this is a direct quote from Miss Jennifer. She said, "Adoption through the foster system has softened our hearts to the needs of other people's circumstances." And that's another big point, is that we, until we get out of our own little bubble and we see what these kids need, and the situations that they come from are some of the worst that you can imagine. And these are just kids picked up off the street a lot of times. And so that was Jay and Jennifer. And then my soon-to-be brother-in-law, John Allen May, they're big advocates of the foster care program, and they've had a total of 3 kids. One of the foster cares has led to an adoption, and that child is just loved all the way through that process, and now that he's a part of the family, then it's just amazing. It really leaves me speechless that this kid, he went from having nothing to gaining everything. And so they had one that they lost, but they kept her for around a year, and now they have another kid that they're fostering. And this kind of leads me into my conclusion is that fostering and adopting, it takes a lot out of you, and you could even foster a kid for up to a year and then lose that child, and that breaks your heart. But in the end, you realize you know, with the difference that you made in that child's life. And, you know, it really, and a part of that process is it doesn't matter if you're the best parent in the world, that, you know, eventually a judge or social care worker could strip that child from you just because another relative was, you know, relatively in the picture. And, you know, so like I said, it's not appealing, and it can be heartbreaking, but what it does is it takes a child that has a 0% chance of growing up and in any kind of good home lifestyle, and just flips that around. And like I said about John Allen, you know, that the child that they were able to adopt through fostering, he's, you know, his life is going to look so much different than it would have if, you know, John Allen didn't have that heart to adopt or didn't have that heart to be in the foster care program. So I really want to urge y'all that, you know, it is important. And like I said, that, you know, God adopted me, and without Him adopting me into His family, then my life would look really different right now, and I would have no care for adoption or foster care. But it's all about, you know, loving others and wanting to make a difference that could change someone's life. So I hope that y'all really consider this, and it's, like I said, very important. And thank you for listening.